Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. I'm Jim. I'm here with my partner Steve. It's May 8th, 2021.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Busy week.
Busy week.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway,
Not as nice out as it was last Saturday.
yeah, we got a little spritz out in the Northeast here, but I drove past the ball fields and on Edward Delmore Field in Oakland. There's games going on all over the place.
Okay.
But one thing I did notice, there was a COVID drive-through testing site which was empty today.
Been empty for quite some time. We got a COVID testing tent, if you will,
Yep.
drive-by.
Yeah, and I've seen it with lines, half a mile long, and today, not a car. So I guess that speaks volumes, right?
Sure.
COVID is coming to a close. Ballparks are going to open to full capacity.
I wouldn't
at some
say
point.
COVID's coming to a close, but people are out and about, and let's hope a sense of normalcy has transcended.
Yep. And of course, it's been a crazy year, but like I said, game on. Right?
Game on.
So this week, Steve has the honor of the monologue.
I do.
So I will turn the mic over for 2 uninterrupted minutes of thoughts and commentary.
Well, midweek, I'm at work, and my colleague texts me as he left, and he says, the New York Rangers just fired President John Davidson and General Manager Jeff Gordon. And to tell you I was stunned would be an understatement. And then the more I reach in, learn about it, obviously the Tom Wilson incident against the Capitals, Tom Wilson for the Capitals, basically, threw a couple Rangers around like rag dolls. Hurts or Terry Panarin, our best player, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is James Dolan is the owner of the New York Rangers, New York Knicks, Madison Square Garden. And obviously, people know him for being the guy that's really run the Knicks into the ground. And he, for the most part, has left the Rangers alone. I'll give him credit on that until now. So Davidson and Gordon say, we want nothing to do with writing a letter and whining like little bitches to the NHL. Okay, so this all comes from Dolan in retrospect. And to Davidson and Gordon's credit, like I said, they wanted nothing to do with it. And the reason is because the Rangers were playing the Capitals 2 nights later. And obviously, a lot of hockey people know what transpired. 6 fights, right? But that's what happens is you take care of your business on the ice, right? So Dolan says, I want to fire Gordon. And Davidson, to his credit, said, well, if you fire Gordon, I'm going with him. And you know what? Dolan makes a complete asinine move out of raw emotion and the fact that, his ego, so on and so forth. So Davidson and Gordon are out, and I think it's such a bad move, a bad look, and I'm very disappointed in this. And I never saw it coming. I don't think anybody did, but we all know about the Rangers rebuild, et cetera, et cetera. Chris Drury's now been promoted. Love Chris Drury. However, Chris doesn't have a track record as a GM. But let me finish on this. Glenn Sather has never gone away. Glenn Sather, this has his fingerprints all over it. I think he wanted Davidson out. He saw an opening, and Sather is now in Dolan's ear. So I can't answer who the next coach, what the next step for the Rangers is. But I was thoroughly disgusted with this week's firing at Davidson and Gordon.
Okay. Well, listen, good monologue, and it's a good segue because I've been, thinking about this as well. It is. The events of the NHL have transpired over the past couple of weeks, and, I agree with you 1,000%. This has James Dolan's fingerprints and body cam image all over it. And you're right. I thought I broke the news to you when I saw it. I sent you a text and I said they fired Davidson, and your response was, which I thought exactly what it was going to be, ridiculous. And you're right. So that was a big shakeup. But let's talk about that Tom Wilson episode because I was watching the game, and it was hockey at what I think is at its best. Battling and fighting and scrapping, and then it turned into mayhem. and the subsequent events, the next game, and one of our listeners, James Walsh, pointed it out. They should have brought up this guy Gearston or something, some goon.
Yeah, but goon.
I suggested we sign Ty Domi for one night, but to the Rangers' credit, 1 second into the game, all three forwards took each other on, and it was fun.
That brought you back to 1985 or something.
But we
At least it did for me.
listen. We don't advocate the violence, but hockey. That's what's so unique about it.
But
the way you settle it.
That's exactly what was my point. Is Davidson and Gordon were like the Dolan. We're playing them Thursday night. We got this. We're going to take care of this on the ice. This is what we do.
But your
Okay.
your thought, though, I'm curious about it. Is you think Davidson and Gordon had nothing to do with sending that letter to the NHL?
Absolutely nothing
That this
to
was
do.
Dolan 100%.
Absolutely.
I agree. The firing was 100%,
Yeah.
but
No, it's been proven that the letter came from Dolan's office.
and he bypassed the president and general manager of the Rangers.
He may have
to do
told. Listen, he may have told Davidson or Gordon, "I want a letter sent to get this George Parros fired." And to their credit, I would have to assume.
Okay, we don't know for
90% that Davidson
Said, "No way, don't
said,
send
I'm
it."
not writing this letter. And what, whining like a little bitch?
But you thought he took a bullet for Gordon?
I do.
Really?
Oh, there's no question.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's-
no question.
Interesting.
So and also, I'm sure the conversation Davidson had with Dolan was, "Am I running this team or am I not running this team?"
Yeah, but nobody that works for James Dolan runs the
Exactly. However,
team. Okay.
he knew what the answer was.
Yep.
And to Davidson's credit, fine, he went down with the ship with Gordon.
Hey, listen, this has got to look good for you, though. You got a Boston University graduate and Chris Drury taking
do.
over the reins. So
Right,
if Davidson had to go, bring this kid in, give him a shot.
Like I said, listen, Chris Drury has won everywhere he has been. We've
Solid player.
We've watched Chris Drury in the Little League World Series for Trumbull, Connecticut, I think
did.
it was. Right?
Good trivia right there.
You know, he's won the NCAA title with BU.
Yep.
He's won the Stanley Cup, the Avalanche, so on and so forth. Right? This guy is a bona fide winner. Okay? However, he doesn't have the track record. So right now he's the interim president and general manager of the
Yes, he
Rangers.
is. Yes,
he
he
will
is.
not be the president of the New York Rangers.
Okay.
But I can say he can be the GM. But I think say
An
that
interesting fact, you said Glenn Sather's still pulling
He
the puppet
is.
strings behind the scenes?
he is.
Wow.
So we'll see if Messier comes back and
Glenn
has a role.
Sather's got to be, what, 79?
No, he's 104.
No, he's not that old, but
He's every bit of 80. He's
Well,
got to be.
listen, it was disappointing that the Rangers didn't make the playoffs, but I think they're on the right track. But you're right. If Dolan's not happy with Davidson and Gordon, then David Quinn could be,
Well, Quinn's got one more year.
Yeah.
We shall see.
And I said he's getting that one more year.
Well, I think our debate, our debate on is he or is he not going to come back has been kind of altered.
Yeah.
With the news. So
Yeah.
we shall see.
But listen, sticking with the NHL because, the playoffs, the season's, over and playoffs are starting. And I watched the Boston Bruins. They looked really good. They smoked the Rangers the other night. The Rangers could have been out of gas. But here's the question. Your guy, is Ovi going to be ready for the playoffs? He may have some lower body distress. Like
My guy.
You're a big fan of his, so am I. But the Caps don't win the Stanley Cup if he doesn't play. That's my thought,
Oh, that goes without question.
Yeah. But here's another interesting NHL.
But they're pretty good, the
Yeah,
Caps.
they are good.
Yeah.
They are good. Zdeno Chara is the biggest guy I ever seen in the NHL, right? But how about this kid, Austin Matthews, scored his 40th goal. And I think he's something like he's the only behind Gretzky of scoring 40 goals in 50 games or something like that.
No,
right?
Austin Matthews is.
Stud.
Yeah, when we highly tout Connor McDavid as the best player.
We did.
Austin Matthews is right in their discussion.
Yep.
He's a bona fide goal scorer. Toronto Maple Leafs.
I don't get to see the Maple Leafs play. I haven't seen him play that much, but he lights the lamp every night, it seems,
Yeah.
So listen, our for our hockey fans, and I hope there were a lot of them, that it was an interesting week. It was actually great to see. It was fun. But our next segment is sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summerhill, New York. Loyal sponsor of the show since its inception, and we thank them very much. Let's move on, Steve. How about, listen, we got to talk about it. It was only a week ago today, the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
And we talked about it, that last week we called our quote-unquote Derby show.
Yes.
And it did not disappoint.
No, it did not.
It was a great race. 19 horses, right? And Medina Spirit wins. Mandaloon, who's not going to run in the Preakness, comes in second. And our, Hot Rod Charlie came in third.
That's right. So we
Great race.
We did pretty good. I'll give you all the credit. You had Medina Spirit. We had Hot Rod Charlie, but you made the point it could be either.
But I did say it wasn't going to be essential quality and so forth, and he did not disappoint.
No.
He came in fourth,
Good.
but he's not running in the Preakness either.
Well, again, the drop off from the Kentucky Derby to the Preakness is it's huge. Right, there won't be 19 horses in the Preakness. We'll be lucky if there's.
But you can't win the Triple
10?
Crown if you don't win the Preakness either.
That's
right?
true. So we shall see. But it's a week off for racing. Every 2 weeks. So.
And I hope our listener who invited us to his Derby party, Corey, had Medina Spirit, because if he gets another dog or cat, he's going to name it Medina, right?
Right.
Like Sir
A
Winston.
funky name, Medina.
But that horse really impressed. Even Bob Baffert didn't think he was going to hold on from start to finish, and he did. Great race, though, and it didn't disappoint. It was the first weekend in May, and we loved the Derby, on to the Preakness, and then 3 weeks after
And again, back to a sense of normalcy that we're talking about the Kentucky Derby as
They're
if,
fans.
like, not as if it's as went down. So that's a good thing,
Yep.
right? And again, the Kentucky Derby that we talked about previously, that wasn't the Kentucky Derby, but was the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
This was the Kentucky Derby.
It's
So
almost
again,
back to normal.
the sense of normalcy is starting to permeate.
And the picture from the inside rail looking back at the grandstand of the Kentucky Derby is one of the greatest pictures in sports. Loved it. So, Steve, let's move on.
Loving every minute of it.
Would you believe?
Would you believe?
That's our Maxwell Smart for our TV fans.
Right.
Let's move on to the NBA. Interesting thing I saw. And this is kind of shocking to me, thinking about all the players that have played in the NBA, but Carmelo Anthony moved into 10th place on the all-time NBA scoring list, passing the Big E, Elvin Hayes. Would you have said he was 10? I wouldn't have said he was. I'd say maybe top 20, but top 10?
Okay, he's top 10. But so
We've been watching this
but
guy
you-
since he was a freshman at Syracuse.
Right, so you just made that statement, and the way our brains work pretty quickly.
Who were the other 9 guys, right?
My first thing was Carmelo Anthony or Elvin Hayes. Huh.
Who would you rather
would I
have?
rather have on my team, Elvin Hayes or Carmelo Anthony?
I know where
And
you're
I
going.
think people that know me know what the answer is. It's Elvin Hayes in 2 seconds.
But I could have said, from an NBA perspective, I could have come up with 15 names that I thought had way more points than Carmelo Anthony. But I was surprised. Hey, listen, kudos to him.
Sure.
He's been hanging on for
I was
years.
just going to say your compiler argument.
And that's
But you
exactly where I was
give him
going.
Credit. Carmelo Anthony's never really been hurt.
And he could shoot the lights out. There's no
He
question
used
about
to
it.
be able to shoot.
But we watched him win the national championship with
But
Jim
that's all he's
Boeheim.
famous for.
He
That's all
had-
he's famous for.
He led the league in scoring.
2002.
I'm not putting him ahead of Bird and everybody. You're misunderstanding my point.
I
I'm giving
understand.
kudos
He's,
to the guy.
he's top 10. I get it. All-time score.
Right.
I get the significance of it.
All right.
But I also, and Carmelo Anthony is not the worst guy on the way. He's not really a bad person. He's not.
Yeah.
He's never really been a thug or along those lines.
But he's a moody guy, like the NBA player of today,
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
But I thought that was interesting. Here's another interesting thing. The Lakers, again, Davis went down again last night, so he may be out. And, I've steadfastly said it's going to be the Nets and the Lakers in the finals. And
Here we go.
and now LeBron saying, wait a minute, we missed all these games and we got to play a play-in game to get into this thing.
The commissioner's not happy.
I know. He came out against it, and everybody jumped on his bandwagon saying, but that's what they're facing.
Oh.
They're supposed to be the unbeatable Lakers against the unbeatable
Well,
Nets.
they've hurt, saying that they're looking at like the 6th seed or something like that.
They may have to play in to get into this tournament.
If them the rules,
I
Too
know.
bad.
They all signed off on it. Now he's going, well, I didn't expect this. I thought we were going to be 10 games up in the West and the number 1 seed and meet the Nets.
The Lakers are not getting to the finals this year.
I know.
The Jazz are too good. The Suns are very good.
I know. That's a big surprise, actually, that they're contenders.
I'm telling
right?
you, the Suns got talent, man.
What do you think about in the East? I mean, your Knicks aren't going to the finals. We know that.
They're
right?
not? Really?
But we did acknowledge that Julius Randle's had a great year.
It's pretty good.
But I saw that they can't beat the Phoenix Suns. And this combination of Chris Paul, and I told you, I turned my opinion around about him. I always knew he was good. I liked him.
No, he's really
But I watched him carve up the Knicks the other night, and it was awesome. It really was awesome. And this kid, Devin Booker, he's a player in this league, big time.
I mean,
Associated with the Kardashians, but,
but
that
still,
aside.
No, but
right?
still, I remember watching the Suns, what was it, a little over a week ago when they were in town.
Yep.
And
That's the game I watched.
Right,
Yep.
and Devin Booker, I'm going to say, throughout the first half at least, I turned to my buddy Anthony and I said, this kid is dynamite.
He is.
Like, dynamite.
He is.
And Phoenix has him locked up,
Yep.
but not locked up forever. He's still young.
There's no such thing in the NBA.
I
You can go wherever you want, whenever you want.
He I can see the Knicks looking at this guy down the road. So, he's signed for 3-4 years, whatever, for, the ridiculous amount of money the NBA pays. But yeah, he impresses me.
Me too.
And to answer your question in the East, I mean, why would the answer differ this week than any other week?
You think the Bucks?
No.
The Nets.
Yeah.
Doesn't it drive you crazy, though, this Kyrie Irving taking it off? And people are supposed to believe that James Harden is injured and not just resting, and then they can play when they want.
It doesn't matter. I don't even let it bother me anymore.
You know what? But I'm starting to think that this chaos, and you know what it's doing? It's doing an injustice to Steve Nash, who's actually done a good job keeping these guys afloat while these other guys decide whether they want to play or not.
He doesn't care, Steve Nash. Are you kidding?
But if they don't win it because these guys decided to take off, it's going to look bad on him, and I disagree with it.
They're not going to take. I mean, they're taking off to get ready for the big takeoff.
All right.
Meaning winning the championship. Okay?
Listen,
Nash, you're giving, I think, a little more credit than, okay? Yes, he's the head coach.
Okay.
Mike D'Antoni's the head coach.
You think he's got that much influence on that thing?
Yeah, I do.
Irving comes to play when he wants to play.
No.
Harden comes to play when he wants to play. Durant comes to play when he wants to play.
Yes.
And they've been resting.
And Mike D'Antoni hasn't seen this show 1,000 times?
But it was a joke, actually, to think. They said they're optimistic that James Harden's going to come back before the playoffs.
Ooh.
Of course he is. He's
good.
been resting.
Oh, good.
He's going to play a couple games, and then he's going to
our Brooklyn Net fans got to be really happy with that report.
Hey, listen.
But my only point about D'Antoni being the head coach is behind the scenes. When him and Nash are sitting there, in the office, and just talking basketball strategy. That's all it is.
All right.
But Nash is a smart. Don't get me. I'm not diminishing Steve Nash. I'm just saying head coach, right? So next year,
But coaching 3 prima donnas is difficult for a rookie coach.
So my point is, Mike D'Antoni has coached more than 3 prima donnas.
All right. So the NBA, that season's winding down, 5 games left, whatever.
Yeah, there'll be a parade in Brooklyn.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Why was that bold?
I've said that all along, that I think their chances, but things are looking a little different when you brought up the Suns and the West
And the Jazz.
and the Jazz.
But it's just the big three.
Yeah, agreed. I
They can't.
with this Davis thing going down again, they don't win it. The Lakers don't even have a chance.
I don't
with
even
Davis.
think the Lakers have a chance.
All right.
And really, if Davis is done, forget it.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next segment. We covered the NBA pretty extensively
We did.
here. How about Major League Baseball? Which, by the way, is sponsored by Lynch Motors and Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. Longtime fans, haven't seen them in a while, but hope they're doing well. And
Absolutely.
thank you guys for sticking with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Where do we start? Albert Pujols?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a big week, but yeah, a couple days ago, that's the big news.
Yep.
Albert,
I got some thoughts on this.
well,
Because I've made this statement to many of my sports colleagues and friends. His first 10 years were Lou Gehrig-like. And that's saying something, because you know how we think of the Iron Horse, right?
yeah.
But, and I looked at his stats, very closely the other night. And, I'm big on this compiler thing, and I can't get it out of my head.
Well, let's just.
But his last 10 years, if you look at it, he had a couple of good years with the Angels, drove in 100 runs. But overall, you know what it's done? It's ruined it's moved his career batting average under 300.
So let's stop right there.
Go ahead.
Home run 667.
What's that, fifth all time?
It's 667.
I got you.
It's pretty good.
You don't think I'm dissing Albert Pujols here, do you? Go ahead.
3,250 hits.
Over 2,000 ribbies, right?
2,111 RBIs.
I think that's second all time.
And I
third.
believe, just like the Mick, 298.
Yep. But if you look at his numbers for the first 10 years, was unbelievable. And I like the guy.
3-time MVP.
Yep. World Series champion.
Oh, yeah.
So
So I think when you say...
somebody's going to sign Albert Pujols.
So let's do this for our audience real quick. Let's do our Hall of Fame voting right now. Albert Pujols, Hall of Famer.
Yes. Next.
Yes.
Exactly.
But that, just to remind our audience, our requirements to be a Hall of Famer, right? Is he a Hall of Famer? Yes or no?
Yep.
And this guy, obviously, no brainer.
And I wanted to, this is such a perfect, easy segue for Sports with Mono and Mono. And please send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. Because I noticed a couple of things. We're talking about the Hall of Fame. Keith Hernandez didn't even get a sniff to get in the Hall of Fame. That shocked me. I thought he was kind of he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
I'm a rounding third.
Why, you don't like me smoking?
And I'm heading for home. Well, I don't think you're looking at the third base coach. No, but was surprised? How many, first baseman? Is Albert Pujols a better first baseman than Keith Hernandez? No.
Offensively.
Totally. But, Hernandez had an MVP year, and I believe
Shared MVP year.
But he got a Joe Klecko sniff to get into the Hall of Fame, and that was surprising. When you think about Craig Biggio's in the Hall of Fame, and I looked at his numbers, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame before Keith Hernandez.
3,000 hits.
Okay,
Thank
23 years, whatever.
Yeah, but we talked about Biggio being probably the biggest compiler.
And another guy.
But it doesn't knock Craig Biggio.
It's not knocking him, but it's Keith Hernandez belonged to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Look at the numbers.
Okay.
They're not bad.
Yeah.
If Biggio got in.
No.
And another guy, and it came up, it was a story, Roberto Alomar, right?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that.
Controversy in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I was going to bring this up.
And I looked at his numbers too. These were not Hall of Fame numbers. I mean, he had a couple of really, really excellent years, but Hall of Fame, if you look at his numbers, top to bottom, I go, I must have missed it
Well,
because
second basemen historically don't have these great numbers.
is he Joe Morgan?
No, not even close.
End of discussion.
Is he Ryan Sandberg?
Is he Craig Biggio?
No.
But I just thought that was interesting.
I want to go back to Roberto Alomar.
Go ahead.
I've been waiting to bring this up. I saw this. It wasn't this week. It was the previous week. Roberto Alomar been investigated in like 2014 sexual conduct.
Right.
This is the same guy that spit in the umpire's face.
Which is the first thing that was brought up by Mike Garvey, one of our loyal listeners. Goes,
Roberto Alomar to me is
dirt.
And you know what? The fact that he was even on the Hall of Fame committee in the first place,
Yeah, I guess.
I found that to be a bit.
There's other guys that could have been in that
Yeah.
position, right?
So he resigned his position, and I believe the Blue Jays are taking his number down, things like that. You can't get him out of the Hall of Fame. It's the same thing probably with, I want to say OJ or something.
Yeah.
You know
Yep,
what I mean? You're
understand.
in,
I'm
whatever.
with you. I get you.
But Roberto Alomar, to me, I'm glad. I find him to be one of my.
Yeah.
I dislike him very much.
Yeah. But I looked at his numbers, and they're not Hall of Fame numbers. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
he's a Hall of Famer.
I don't know.
He is.
That's a.
World champions.
I got you.
Blue Jays and
Let's stick with baseball. A couple of things. Not one, but two no-hitters this week. John
Right.
Means of
Yeah.
the Orioles.
Yep.
First no-hitter for the Orioles since James Palmer back in 1969.
69. I'm glad you brought that up because as I was driving to work,
Now that's a Hall of Famer. You look at Jim Palmer's numbers.
Right.
Winningest pitcher of the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh.
So as I was driving to work, and they do the side thing with pick dogs, but I took I actually handicapped this particular game. I said John Means is pitching against Seattle. I think it was an afternoon. It was probably a travel day.
Little matinee game.
Right, but Means went into the game 3-0 with like a 1.45 ERA. So John Means is pretty good. I expect him to pitch a gem. Is actually the words I said. I'm not no hitter or anything like that.
Thank you.
And then I said, and I find out that Means loses a perfect game
On a pass ball.
Right. I mean, he pitched a perfect game, but it's not a perfect game, and it's kind of like ironic that we're talking about it.
Don't say the Baumgartner thing again.
Yeah, I'm
please.
just saying it's ironic.
7 innings is not a perfect game. No hitter.
Yes, it
Sorry.
is because we talked about that.
Yep.
But John Means had just a great performance.
I
And,
actually caught the last 2 innings.
no,
and,
but back to when it was Palmer, right? I was driving to work and I heard it like Means do the no hitter, and I'm saying to myself, who was the last Oriole pitcher? And my guess was Mike Boddicker, like in the '80s
or
something.
Flanagan, maybe.
I went
something.
with Mike Boddicker, but I think Boddicker is lost it with like 2 outs in the ninth or something like that.
Steve Stone have a no hitter for the Orioles too?
Not for the no.
Cy Young
I
season.
think Steve Young had it for it's either the
Cubs?
White Sox. I know he pitched for the Cubs. He's pitched for a lot of teams. It might have been for the White Sox.
But it was John Means and also Wade Miley of the
Yeah,
Cincinnati
so last
Redlegs,
night.
right?
Yeah. The Red Stockings.
Our sister sent us a little story about why they, had to change the name and so forth to the Cincinnati Reds. But Wade Miley, that's 2 no-hitters in 1 week. Which led me to this thing.
Shotzi would have been very happy about Wade Miley.
She would have sent him a bottle of scotch.
She wouldn't have sent him anything.
Right. But there was an interesting thing, and we've talked about it on the show. I like PTI, right? I do. I watch it.
Yeah, I'm more of a Tony. We talk about. I'm more of a Tony Kornheiser
Exactly.
guy.
But I wanted to
But
bring.
Wilbon is more than reputable.
Yeah. But I that's one of the few shows that I do watch from sports because they show good highlights in their last segment. Like, this guy's turning 70 and they show great highlights, and I'm going to get into that in a second. But they're talking about the pitcher's mound, right? Remember when they had to lower the mound because of Bob Gibson and Denny McLain back in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
And now they're saying, when you look at the 60s, and then they were hitting home runs. You know, they said they should raise the mound, right? Now we were in this trend of no hitters. Like now they want to. Even Tony Kornheiser said, "I advocate moving the mound back." I mean, you can't change the game, right? It's 60 feet 6 inches, and that's the way it should be. But you know, it's a trend. You know, there's no hitters, and then there's guys hitting 45 home runs. You know, 10 of them in the league. I just thought it was funny. Leave the mound out of it. You know, leave the pitcher's mound. It's 60 feet 6 inches. That's where it's supposed to be. But I just thought it was funny, and I was a little surprised that they would say, "Let's change the scope of the game."
Nothing is off limits,
All right,
right? So who's to say they're not going to F with the mound?
they're not.
Okay.
You could raise it or
yet,
lower.
Yet
but,
in the 10th inning, there's a runner on second base.
oh, I know they've
So
come
don't
up.
tell me they're not going to mess with the
You
mound.
know my feelings on the extra inning.
I know.
rules.
I'm just saying.
And the 7-inning
my
double
point
headers.
is, my point is,
I got it.
I'm not convinced that they won't F with the mound.
Right, but it's the 4th no-hitter this year. There was 2 this week, unprecedented.
So let's talk about, so in baseball, it was a big birthday this week.
Good. Literally, folks, this is not scripted. He just stole the words right out of my mouth.
The
Willie Mays,
The Say Hey kid turns 90.
90. And I'm going to tell you this, and I've been steadfast in this since we worship Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth and DiMaggio and Ted Williams and everybody. But I always said the guy that I always thought was the greatest baseball player all around was Willie Mays, the Say Hey kid. He could run, throw, catch, and hit. I mean, and he's been a class act forever.
Yeah.
Ambassador to the league, but I saw some great highlights. Seen the Vic Wertz catch, 5,000 times?
The only demerit I can give Willie Mays is that he's related to Barry Bonds. It's the only, and he has no control over that.
All right, that's
That's
not
the
his
only
fault.
demerit I can give Willie Mays.
But I loved watching the Willie Mays highlights.
Oh.
And I mean, we just...
It's so I must have watched this for 5 minutes on my computer at work. It's the Vic Wertz catch, right?
One of the greatest catches in
But
the
with technology and computer graphics and stuff like this, it is so cool. They have it from every angle with trajectory, speed of the bat,
But the one thing...
his eyes, the turn of his head, like in this graphic, like
But running through
computer
this
graphic,
Grand Canyon of a
ridiculous.
baseball field, and he makes the catch. And I think and you never catch the footage. It's rare, you know, like watching the Joe DiMaggio highlight when he kicks the dirt after, I think it was like Sandy Amorose stole that hit. Only time he ever showed emotion. The Willie Mays catch, I believe he threw it in and doubled off the guy at second base on the same play. The catch was unbelievable, but the throw was even better, and I don't think it was ever caught on film.
Yeah, it was just an incredible catch.
And I'm so glad, Steve, that you brought this up because I remember watching Willie Mays. We were very young, but we saw the tail end of his career with the
We
Giants.
saw at the very end.
And then we saw him play with the Mets, which was, torturous for us.
I can't
right?
even. I can't. I'm 56, so
Yeah.
I don't have any memory of Willie Mays in the Giants uniform.
I do, vaguely.
I
at the
have
end.
I have him as a
Yep.
complete dinosaur finishing
Mets,
up with
you
the
know.
Mets, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
However, there was a quick story I wanted to share about what I read. We all know Don Drysdale had this super temper, when he was on the field, right?
And when he was in the bar, too.
Oh yeah, no question, and on TV. No. But I was reading about Willie Mays, and you've heard everything. So, a discussion came up, and Willie Mays was like, rarely do you see a center fielder going to throw somebody out at first base, this, that, and the other thing. So, second base, third base, and home. Right? He wanted to do it all in a game.
He could do it all.
So they're playing the Dodgers, right? And Drysdale hits, a single to center. But Willie Mays sees that Drysdale is just like,
lollygagging down
half
the first,
walking like that and the other thing.
throws him out of first
Well,
base.
throws him out of first base. Don Drysdale
Plugged him the next time up.
was like, F you! Doing the point. Oh,
Good. Good story.
how funny would that be, right? I got to see the highlights of that.
Very good.
Drysdale wasn't happy that say, hey, kid, threw him out of first base.
But Willie Mays was unbelievable.
But the point it gets is to the all-around ball player, not only his arm.
Yep.
I mean, everything about him, his hands, his hitting. 2 years of military service, too. Played in Candlestick, right? Which was the worst.
Oh,
He
horrible
he
place.
literally would have hit 800 home runs he possibly could have.
he played
Not
somewhere
playing in
else.
Candlestick.
I agree.
And getting 2 years back from the
But
American.
you want to talk about the most well-rounded player in Major League Baseball
he's up there.
history.
He may be it.
He may be it.
He may be it.
So listen, let's wrap up today with the NFL and your Dallas Cowboys. Dak came out with a statement. He's 100% back to normal, ready to go.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And another note from the NFL, and this is a little close to our heart, right? Jason McCourty played with his brother Devin for the Patriots, only twins to win a Super Bowl. St. Joe's graduates, very nice guys. We've met them before, signed with the Miami Dolphins. I actually thought the Giants were going to sign him, bring him home kind of thing. I was a little surprised, but the twins have separated, as they say.
Yeah, it's fun. They've been separated for
Yep.
most of their NFL career. That's a good signing. The Dolphins are,
They're building
the
a good
AFC
team.
East. It's the Bills and the Dolphins. Those are the two teams that are going to be challenging.
And you're dismissing the Pats and Belichick and
Yes.
Mac Jones
Yes, I am, because
Wow.
Cam Newton is going to be the quarterback.
for 10 minutes.
Not 10.
For 10 minutes.
No.
Yeah. He's gonna go 3 for 17 with 2 fumbles
Mac
after
Jones
the first game.
Mac Jones will sit the year.
All right, but anyway, before we move off football, there was something funny, and I was gonna call you at the time saying Jimbo Fisher disses Nick Saban.
I saw that.
And not only dissed him, I said, okay, he probably said we can compete with Alabama. And then I heard what Jimbo Fisher actually said. So, I'm packing my bags. I'm going to Vegas, and I'm putting my pink slip to my car that Alabama is going to blow Texas A&M out of the water after Jimbo Fisher's comment that we're going to beat their ass. Wow.
I like Alabama in this game.
That is the luck. We're what, 6 months away, but save your pennies and make the bet.
Go to Vegas now. Get your line in.
Yep. Oh God. Why would you? And somebody said it's poking the lion.
It's
right?
fun. Jimbo Fisher.
But what, comparing? Why even make that statement at all? At all. That is just going to make Nick Saban insane. So I'm going to say I'll take Alabama and the 30 points or whatever they're going to
I'll
give
take
that day.
Alabama. Alabama's going to have a new quarterback, Bryce Young. They're going to be good.
Yeah. I think they got.
I think they'll be pretty good again, Alabama.
Yeah, they got some horses in the stable.
They do.
No question.
They do.
So let's move on to our final segment, which is notable passings, and it happened right after we came off the air last week.
Uh-huh.
Bobby Unser, which I didn't
Yes.
know. Steve told me that was his guy. I was a Mario Andretti guy, and Steve, Bobby Unser, 87 years old, 3-time Indy champ.
I was very sad. I saw that actually at work. Came across that Bobby Unser passed away. I think he was 87.
He was 87.
But yeah. And Jim and I talked about it, and,
we used to watch this stuff back then. When it was
yeah. Listen, Memorial Day weekend, the Indianapolis 500.
Book it.
Book it, Dano.
Yep.
Channel 7, Chris Schlenker, or whoever the hell it was Jackie Stewart.
Jackie Stewart was the guy actually calling
Right?
it after,
But that was it, right?
Yeah.
So we'd watch it for 5 minutes and go out and have a catch with the football, come back an hour and a half later.
Yep.
They're on lap 179.
Yep.
Right.
But we did watch it, and he was.
Bobby Unser was a 3-time champ. And I remember, again, old enough for Bobby. I think his first one was 71, and he won in the early 80s and so on and so forth. Yeah. But, of course, the Unsers are legends. Al Unser, his brother, won it 4 times. Al Unser Jr. has won it twice.
Right.
And Uncle Bobby it was quite revered by his fellow racing.
And when you consider,
compadres.
when you're talking about, auto racing, the Unsers, the Petties,
Yep.
and he was racing against an era. It was like, if you want to relate it to basketball, it was like the Bird, the Magic, the Jordan era.
Yep.
Right? It was Unser, and it was Andretti, and it was even Cale Yarborough won a couple of Indy 500s, right?
Yeah.
But he was, he was a bulldog. He was a Dale Earnhardt guy. He rocked the establishment.
Yeah, but I mean, this was Indy racing, So when I like Gordon Johncock coming around,
Gordon Johncock won. He might have won too as well.
Right? You know what I mean? Those are the names.
But we did watch it back then, and it was awesome.
Oh, totally.
And Bobby Unser, R.I.P. man.
R.I.P. Mr. Unser.
Stud.
Yeah, a big fan.
Here's another from the world of baseball. Ray Miller, pitching coach.
Yeah.
76. I thought Ray Miller was 76 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But he was a pitching coach for the Orioles.
Forever.
And, he was the pitching coach for 2 Cy Young Award winners, right? Steve Stone and Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
He was a staple with the Orioles. And this goes out to when our brother can tell his guy, Bosey.
Bill Bosey.
Bill Bosey from Rochester.
He grew up in Rochester, and of course the Orioles' AAA affiliate is the Rochester Red Wings.
Yep.
So he would always give us stories about the Rochester Red Wings. So any Orioles that made it to the show,
and this guy was he was a lifetime Oriole.
We had a history lesson of their tenure down in Rochester.
But great pitching coach, great major league career, and
no doubt.
That's a shout out.
Yeah.
Another guy from Major League Baseball.
Del Crandall.
Yeah. 91.
91.
And believe it or not, we do remember Del Crandall more as a manager with the Brewers and the Seattle Mariners at the end of his career. But he had a pretty good career, actually.
Yeah, he was an 11-time All-Star.
Yep.
He was a key figure on the Braves teams of the 50s.
Interesting fact about Del Crandall, he was the last surviving player for the Boston Braves.
Okay.
How about that?
Sure.
And do you know how I found out about it? I saw a piece on, who notified? Was Gil Brandt.
Oh.
Who is also, he's 89. And he said R.I.P. Del Crandall, so they must have been pals or something. But, our history with Gil Brandt. But that was an interesting
good
acknowledgement from
Kevin
him.
Bacon, 6 degrees of
Somehow,
separation.
some way, but Del Crandall, 91.
Yeah, absolutely. A great fixture of Major League Baseball, and R.I.P. Mr. Crandall, no doubt.
And one last one, and it's kind of sad. Again, we've had a few of them. Jake Ellinger, Sam Ellinger's younger brother for the University of Texas, he's a linebacker.
Read that yesterday. Ouch.
20 years old,
Ouch.
kind of thing. And I watched Texas play. He was a good player, and that was a very shocking thing. But
Sam got drafted by the Colts.
Colts, yeah.
6th round.
Yeah.
God, I was hoping the Cowboys would have taken him.
As a flyer kind of thing?
Not as a flyer.
Yeah, it wouldn't have gone earlier than the 4th round. Though,
right. I'm just saying, 4th through 6th. Not as a flyer.
Yeah.
We both like this kid.
Yeah.
And his brother, 20 years old. I'm not sure of the cause, but...
it hasn't been revealed, but that's, when anybody 20 years old is shocking.
It's a shame, so sorry to hear that news.
Yep. But listen, everybody, thanks for joining us on Sports with Mono and Mono on the 8th of May, 2021. Lots of stuff going to continue to happen, and we'll be back on the air next week. But please feel free to send us comments and thoughts at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. And Steve, enjoy the week, and we'll be back here next week talking about all this kind of stuff again.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. And like you said, we'll talk to you next week. And
Thanks for joining us.
Preakness next Saturday.
Yeah. We enjoy it. We miss you, and we'll do it again next week.
Black-Eyed Susans next week.
That's
is that
what it is, right? Went from roses to black-eyed Susans.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you guys.
Bye.